Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, and it is time for another AEA partner webinar. And today I have the opportunity to speak with John Cumberworth. John is a good friend and the CEO of Client Chat Live. They are a service that we recommend to our clients and on the marketing side of our business also, but through the AEA. So, we believe in what they do. We like the service they offer. Their software is great, and they're very competitive in their pricing. John, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us. And for those of you who do not know John, he's probably one of the easiest and nicest guys to deal with in this industry, and that I appreciate probably more than anything else. So thanks for your time today.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks, Travis.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and what our viewers can learn today, and what you're going to be generally covering.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Client Chat Live. We started in 2008, worked with over 500 law firms and marketing agencies, and we provide a live chat service. It's the software and the service. We provide operators 24/7, and our goal is to help increase potential clients for our customers. Over this time, obviously done a lot of marketing myself as a small business owner, so I feel a lot of the pain of the folks out there running a small business. But gotten to know digital marketing strategies, Google, quite a bit over the last few years.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say today, just focusing on live chat and how we can utilize live chat, some of the changes that we've seen in the technology over the years and what to expect in the future, and how we can use it now, especially for law firms, to get more potential clients and ultimately more clients.
Yeah, because things are changing quite a bit. I know that I know things are changing a lot. Technology is changing a lot. AI is becoming very prominent. I don't even know if a lot of people want to know exactly what AI is, so I know you're going to touch on that today. But for those of you who have questions throughout this webinar, feel free to chat them to us or just enter them in the Q&A. And if it's the timing's right, I'll interrupt John. And we love the aspect of dialogue, so we really want to try to create dialogue during this. John's more of a conversationalist than he is a presenter, I believe. Hopefully I didn't misstate that. So if you have questions, please don't be shy. Plug them into the chat or the Q&A, and I will moderate and interrupt John and ask the question at the appropriate time. If you want to wait till the end and share them then, that's great too. And just so everyone knows, we are going to post this online. Obviously, if you have questions or you didn't catch something or you come to it late, you can get it, the rest of it, in about 2 days, we'll have it on the site and we'll have it on YouTube and so on. So we'll share that out with everybody. So John, I'm going to let you kind of take over the driver's seat here, because this is your expertise, not mine, and I will definitely ask questions as we go. So please, it's all yours.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it. So as I mentioned, what we'll go through today is basically why live chat is an essential tool to help get more clients. We're probably seeing it a lot more on websites, not just in our industry, in the legal industry, but you're seeing it across the board in other industries as well. And so we'll go through a few different things. So why should I use live chat for my law firm? What are the most effective ways to use live chat? Where can I use live chat? And so what I mean by that is traditionally you see it on a website, but it's popping up more and more on text messaging, on Facebook Messenger. Eventually we'll get into things like WhatsApp, and Google My Business is something we do as well. So you're seeing the aspect of live chat in multiple places, and it's almost changing from live chat to messaging. So we'll touch on that. And then what should my live chat service, if you're using one, what should my live chat service be sharing with me? And then what is the future of live chat in our industry? And I'll do my best to try to figure out where we're going and where we're headed, and start that discussion. And there's a lot of change happening all the time. So first and foremost, why should you use live chat? And it's no mystery. You're seeing it in a lot of places. You're seeing it on businesses on Amazon, traditional customer service driven businesses. But when you're looking at law firms, you're going after consumers for the most part. You're going after the general public as far as potential clients. And so when we look at a study that was done, this is from 2016, and it's probably increased even more so than from then to now. 89% of consumers would like to use messaging to communicate with businesses. And this is either when they are a customer or they are a client. they'd like to text or they'd like to use messaging, but this also rings true for potential clients as well. So you want to give them that access, that ability to, whether it be text messaging you or your firm or your business, or live chat from the website or live chat from your mobile site. And so when they did this study in 2016, only about 48% of businesses are equipped to connect with customers through a message. And the way I look at that is, when they say equipped, one, do they have the software and the apps or the plugins available to the public and to the people that are finding them on the website? But also, are they responsive? Do they have people to respond quickly? Do they have a bot that's trained and scripted and updated to respond quickly? So it's not just having the app, but having the people or the systems in place to respond. And so you can see on the right-hand side as well, the increase in the app preference. So native SMS, which is traditional text messaging, is about half of that messaging for businesses. Facebook Messenger is definitely popular, and WhatsApp has been more international, but is definitely making a big push in the US. As far as Facebook Messenger goes, I know we integrate with Facebook Messenger, and basically what that is that allows people to get to your Facebook page, and instead of sending a message to you or your team, our operators are there, and it routes to our platform and our software, and we handle that conversation just like we would a normal web chat, and deliver that lead to you and that transcript to you. So again, it's availability. We've seen a definite increase on the mass tort side. So a lot more of the class action. You see Facebook, we've seen Facebook being a stronger option compared to, say, personal injury and the more traditional practice areas. This is just another look. Again, probably not earth-shattering information as far as the demographic of who would prefer to text or would rather text or do a web chat, as opposed to picking up the phone and calling, or having a face-to-face conversation, or going through the telephone, as I mentioned. So on the left-hand side, you can see the green and this the web chats, this kind of off funky blue there. But text messaging is definitely a big form of communication, and it does drop off here 45 to 54, but you can see the importance of giving the option to people in those demographic, in those certain age ranges, the ability to send a text message. And I'll talk a little bit about that and how that works with our service here shortly, but just to give you some insight as to how people prefer to communicate these days.
Yeah, now, John, I'll just interrupt you a little bit. I know that we've had, more than 24 of our firms tell us that text messaging has literally revolutionized their law firm. And that may sound extreme and exaggeration, but I'm happy to, share those people, those attorneys that own those firms, and it literally doubled their business, they've said. Mm-hmm. That it is that dramatic. So people who have not embraced text messaging, please open your ears up, because this is a big portion, something you should be, not only doing, but really, taking advantage of and capitalizing on it now.
For sure. And we just had a firm that we've worked with for quite a while. They added text to chat recently. In the first 30 days, they increased the number of chat leads they had in a month by 40%. Just giving people that option. And there's a lot of factors that might go into that. Maybe they're driving people to their mobile site through specific ads, but having that availability and that option just increase their potential for people to contact them. So go ahead. Did you have a question on that, Travis?
No, I just, I think people forget, text messaging is the preferred form of communication for nearly 70% of people who have mobile phones. And, the concept, the idea that attorneys do not have that capability, or majority of them do not have that capability for prospects and or their current clients to communicate with them vis-a-vis text messaging it's crazy. And a lot of people don't seem to think that it applies to the legal field, because for some reason, legal matters are you just can't text about that, right? Well, they need to get off that. That couldn't be further from the truth.
For sure. And just to go back to the kind of the overall, why should I use live chat? Live chat provides an increase in potential clients of up to 30%. We have seen some firms and some businesses see a 50% increase by having that option on their website. So it, on average, I would say 20 to 30% is a more realistic increase, and that's just a net increase. So there's a little bit of cannibalization of some people that might have picked up the phone to call or might have filled out a web form will then do a live chat because they want more of an immediate response and that human interaction. But as a net increase, we see is about a 20 to 30% increase in potential clients on a monthly basis. Again, offering 24/7 availability, there's a lot of widgets and things out there that you can do yourself, but as long as you'd have to staff that. And so there's some folks out there that only do 9 to 5 as far as availability on chat, and they have a leave a message button on their site. And for some, that's okay. But with what we do, we provide that 24/7 availability, and that expectation is growing with the general public that somebody's going to be available. They don't. What we found over the years is people don't expect to chat with an attorney, so they're not surprised when we're transparent with them and let them know that we're chat operators for the firm, or we're an intake team for the firm, however they would like to message that. But people are not surprised when we let them know that we're not attorneys and we're there to gather information. Again, live chat's no longer just web chat, and these are just a few options: SMS or text to chat, like we talked about, Facebook Messenger, Google My Business, which I'll touch on as well, WhatsApp, and then Google Ads. It used to be Google AdWords. So web chat and live chat and the service we provide has given people the ability to have one phone number or one link that allows people to reach them from 5 different places or 4 different places. So pretty versatile. And one of those things is, from a marketing perspective, you have to do it in a sense of being everywhere. I think Michael from Crisp Video always says you've got to be everywhere. Your firm's got to be everywhere. So just another way to provide that availability to people. Again, human interaction and that expectation of immediate response is kind of ingrained in our society these days, it seems like. And then a little bit cliche, and not trying to be salesy here, but do your competitors use it? Do you see this as not just a fad or a trend even? If you Google top injury lawyer Austin or anything along those lines, and I know there's a lot more practice areas than just injury lawyers and personal injury, but you see it on a lot of websites, and that's because it's effective. And if someone reaches out to your firm and they don't get anybody, they're Googling somebody else within a few seconds. And I know we've all experienced that. So give them that opportunity to reach out. And then ultimately, the goal, if you're spending money on driving traffic to your site and trying to get potential clients, you're spending money. So you need a return on that investment, and having a phone number or a form isn't enough. And you need to give them that third option or additional options for people to reach out to you. So when talking about live chat specifically, what's the most effective? And we're continuously trying to determine how to maintain our data and analytics so that we can provide this as the experts in this field. But what we found is animation, action, and really like the clarity of the CTA, the call to action. We use, here's an example on the right here of a mobile site. And it's very clear that live chat and that text us, those buttons slide along with the screen. So as the person's scrolling, those stay static. But you can see they're very clear what they are in red. So we don't want to hide them. We don't want to have them pop up and take over the screen, of course. But having that kind of clear call to action there. On a desktop version, we do like to have some kind of an animation along with an individual's picture. Try to avoid stock photos, but having a human face definitely does increase conversions and increase the likelihood people will click. So again, a lot of folks may think, you know what, I don't like that, it's intrusive, or I'm on my site all the time and I see this thing sliding along with me and I don't like it. we have to put ourselves in the shoes of somebody that hasn't visited your site yet. They found you on Google. They've been there. They're looking, 20, 30 seconds. That's about all you have to catch their attention. What are you doing to do that? And just having a phone number and a form, sometimes there aren't enough. So we call them proactive invitations, and we're constantly updating them and changing them so that they're crisp and updated and effective, and also making sure they're in line with Google policies and things along those lines. So there's no issue.
How effective are those proactive invitations? I always wonder about that. It's not, I haven't really seen any data on that. So can you give us some idea how effective those are?
Yes, we've had some people over the years turn off the proactive pop-up, the one that basically forces a choice of yes or no. And after about 20 seconds of having that, increases the likelihood of a chat by 30%. So they turned it off, and they lost about 30% of their chat leads over a month.
Wow.
And they did not see an increase in overall leads. So it was that proactivity, basically, if that's the right form of the word, the proactive approach of reaching out to people. And again, we've messed with the times. We've tested the times. Is it 10 seconds too quick? Is 40 seconds too long? And any kind of animation, we've got some other data as far as just some slight animation in the bottom right corner with a slider is what we call it, that shows a little mini pop-up. It draws the attention. So having something proactive, what we found is about a 30% difference.
That is awesome. That's impressive. I had no idea.
I think the second part here is the availability of an operator or staff. And we've had a number of firms and people over the years that say, you know what, I just want to do this myself, or I want to have my paralegal do it, or my office manager, whatever that looks like. And it's maybe out of the goal of saving some money, or wanting to have somebody that can screen a potential client immediately over chat, which is great intention, but ultimately if you're not available within a few seconds, it's almost a detriment. So if you try to do it yourself, or if you have a service that is not responsive, it's kind of akin to missing phone calls, locking the office door, or not having somebody at the reception desk. So it's very important that you have, if you're going to do chat, have somebody there that's responsive immediately. And the last part I put there was transparency. I put that there just because the way we work is we're very transparent with potential clients. We let them know that we are chat operators, or we're working for the firm in order to gather information and get that to the law firm as soon as possible. So we've had a lot of people thank us for that, because they don't think they're chatting with attorneys. They're not, I don't want to use the word tricked, because that's not the case in other, for other services, but it's just kind of giving them the wrong impression that they think they're chatting with an attorney with the firm. Building on what's most effective is keeping it simple. Again, we just want to get contact info is our ultimate goal. So the goals of conversion, we can do intake questions, and I think it's a great idea to add some intake questions, unless it's a case type that is extremely black and white. We've had some people ask for us to do screening, and I definitely think that's the direction that a service like ours is going to go in the future. It just has to, but for right now, I think unless it's very black and white, the questions we can ask are mainly for informational purposes, like what was the date of the incident, were there any injuries sustained, things along those lines, that we can gather information and then pass it along to the firm to be the ultimate decider. There's a lot of gray area in some of the practice areas we work in, so I just want to make sure people keep it simple and don't try to get too much information in the chat, and we want to get them connected as soon as possible. The next part is that live transfer. If you're not using this already or have this capability, within a chat, we can set the business hours and days. And if it's a certain, if it meets certain criteria, then we can ask the person if they want to be connected immediately, and we can connect that potential client with the firm via phone in about 10 to 15 seconds from the chat finishing. So again, it's another way for people to get connected as soon as possible with the law firm, and that's the ultimate goal, is to get them in touch with the business. And then the last part from an effectiveness standpoint is you can get all the leads in the world, but then if you don't do anything with it consistently, no matter what type of lead it is or what type of potential client, that consistency, if you're using a CRM or a case management software like a Clio or Captora on the intake front, Lead Docket, those types of software, we integrate with those, but have somebody that's responsible for following up with them and making sure they all go into one place, because there's nothing worse than paying for leads and paying for marketing that you're not doing anything with it. Just a little example of some of the integrations we have. Captora, Clio, and Clio Grow is a new one that used to be Lexicata. So you can find those on our website, but this is basically what we can send the contact data through automatically, so you don't have to type it in if you're using a software like this.
That's helpful too. I don't know how people, most people who have CRMs or practice management systems we work with, they do not take advantage of those integrations as much as they should in the taking off automation. So, I know you guys are really flexible with how you develop APIs for new systems. So are you open to developing new APIs if people don't have a current system that you guys support?
Definitely. And we actually just integrated with Zapier. If anybody's familiar with Zapier, it's like a middleman for all types of software. So, we could take it and send it into a Google Sheet automatically. And then you can take that Google Sheet and send that somewhere else. So there's all kinds of possibilities, and we've got our own proprietary software. So if there's something that we don't offer, we're always open to looking at it for sure.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of companies are not that easy to work with.
Right. So this last part on what's most effective, an example of our client dashboard, and we need to get more of our folks using this as well. But we can put email templates in. You can see the chat leads you've got. So we're trying to make it to where it's really effective and easy for them to respond to a chat lead. So maybe Clyde Drexler here, you click on the envelope and pull from one of your templates. If it's an automatic reject, things like that, it plugs all the information in. If you're not using something already, like a Captora or Clio, that might do something like that for you. So moving on to where live chat can be used, the traditional website, the desktop, tablet, mobile, and you can see kind of a breakdown here is one of the mobile setup. We like that split. The live chat and text us gives people the option. I think most folks that see that understand what the differences would be. But the kind of the newer ones, the Facebook Messenger, if you're running Facebook ads or you get people that find you on Facebook all the time, that's a good way to get more leads as well. And it really works very similar to the texting. This other one here, Google My Business. So many of us have used Google Maps to find businesses. People are doing the same thing to find law firms. So if you have this enabled and set up on Google My Business, and I'd be happy to help somebody do that if they need help with that. You can add this functionality to have people message you. And so when they hit message, it basically allows them to send text messages, and it comes through to our operators. We handle that conversation the same way a web chat or a text to chat would be. So any textable number you can use. If you want to put something on a flyer or something and say, text us, that phone number can route through to us, or if you have a team of people that are available to take that.
And that's a big deal, John. I don't know if people know from just a standard SEO perspective that more engagement that you have with your GMB profile, the better your placement's going to be over time. Now, it's a small factor, but it's going to become a bigger factor as time goes on, because Google is really pushing towards the local service agreements and qualifying and doing all that stuff, which is a whole nother webinar. But you guys offer this service. This is awesome, and people should take advantage of this for every location they have. So because you'll do it for multiple locations, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
So, and I was just reading not too long ago on the Google My Business. They also measure how fast you respond.
Correct.
And so, if someone messages your business through the GMB deal here, and nobody responds, then I don't know what the repercussions are, but I'm assuming there's some kind of a ding at some point, some level.
Yes, they do. Actually, it's it's hard to say that they don't give us specifics on what they do from it. Now, if you're getting a lot of engagement, and a lot of people don't even know what kind of engagement they're getting through their GMB profile because most people never log into their insights and take a look. But if you haven't, and if your current company that you're working with to manage your GMB is not giving you that kind of data, please, you should know that, and you should take advantage of it. And it should be something that you're concerned about, because Google's really driving, the user, the end user, to not go to your website. They do not want them to visit your website. I want to make that very clear. They want them to do everything through Google. That's their 100% their goal. And it's not, it's going to take a lot of time, but in my opinion, websites are going to become less effective, and which is why they put this feature in, which is awesome, that you guys still have the capability of being there for the attorney and the law firm, because eventually that's going to become a big source of lead generation for every law firm.
Cool. All right. And it's kind of just a visual of text to chat. The left is a stock basically, but you can tell it's a text messaging. That's what the potential client would see. It's not a web chat that comes up on a Safari browser or anything like that. It's through their text messaging app, if you will. And the way we deliver that conversation is on the right. And if you have our service right now, you know what a transcript looks like. If we get information from within the chat, obviously this isn't a full transcript, but we do have a summary at the top. So we deliver the text conversation to you the same way we would a web chat. And if someone texts us back, 4 hours later, we pick up where it left off. And so you can still see the context from the previous conversation, and we'll deliver that right after as well. So we try to make it as easy on our customers as possible to be able to see this information. And it's still, I'm always amazed, even to this day, by what people will put in a web chat or in a text message. And it's, we've had some people say, well, people wouldn't actually send over this information. This isn't real, or they wouldn't divulge this in a chat. Family law potentially, but they definitely do. And we gather that information and deliver it to our customers. So it's definitely very effective. All right, so what should my live chat service be sharing with me? And if you're using our service and I'm not doing a good job of sharing this with you, please let me know, because I want to make sure we're providing everything we can. But obviously the lead transcripts, which is what we saw on the previous page, we deliver those immediately. So the software we've developed over the years, we don't scrub it, we don't look at it and review it before it goes out. It's as it finishes. And so as soon as a chat's finished, it goes through to whatever email addresses you have on file. If you want a text notification as well of a new lead, you'll get that within a few seconds of the chat completing. So make sure that you ask, if you're not using us, make sure you ask, how long does it take from when the chat finishes to when I get it in my hands, basically, or in my email? Because every second counts. Second part is data. I'll show you Google Analytics and what it looks like on Google Ads. If you don't have a Google Analytics ID with your provider or your service company, they need to have that. Hopefully their software integrates with Google Analytics and eventually Google Ads as well, so that you can see every chat lead on, let's say you had through a month, you can see that in your analytics, or your marketing company can see that, so you know you're spending money in the right place and you're not missing out on that data. Make sure they're providing monthly lead reports. And this is either just a list of leads or transcripts, however you'd like to see that. We have a lot of data that we collect on a monthly basis. Every chat, we can see the browser, the device type, things along those lines that can get really granular. Not everybody wants to see that, but it's accessible if needed. But mainly just making sure you're seeing what you see and what you get on a monthly basis, and weekly if possible as well. Make sure they're letting you know about available features, options like text to chat, Facebook Messenger, Google My Business, things like that. And I know as a small business, we could do a better job on our end as well, making sure people are aware of these things. But just make sure you're asking the questions of getting the most out of the service, because even Travis was asking, how much. He was asking me before this, well, how much is text to chat? And so, what's included in our service? So all this, if you don't know about it, ask. It might be just part of the service, and you're paying for the lead basically if you're getting more leads. And then the last part, probably the most important and one of the most difficult, is the ideas and insights for editing scripts, and making sure that the operators, that if they're from outside of your firm, if your team's not doing it yourselves, making sure they have everything they need that's maybe not available on the website, or to the way that you prefer to see it. To a certain extent, there's templates that are utilized in Flow that's important to us, but if there's a question that you'd like to see asked, that helps you determine how important a potential client might be, or how severe a case might be, make sure you share that. And that's can easily be added to a script. As far as, so kind of mentioned the Google Analytics, the way we work with this is we get your analytics ID and we plug it into our software, and we're basically talking to Google on the back end. And we're telling them anytime we send a lead through to you and your team, and that doesn't mean it's like a billable lead or a case. It's just a lead. If we get contact information, we're sending this through. So you should be able to see this, or your marketing team should be able to see this on a day-to-day basis, monthly basis, so that they're capturing, are you getting chat leads? And if you're not hooked up to that, you should be, because you might be getting a lack of data as far as your how good your marketing is doing. I guess how effective your marketing is. And this Google Analytics ties into Google Ads. I'm not sure how many folks out there are utilizing AdWords. I know it's a beast in itself, and there's companies out there that just focus on AdWords or pay-per-click, basically. I think I'll always call it AdWords, despite them rebranding. But Google Ads is basically if you're buying keywords or buying search terms and bidding on those. And I've covered here the actual cost per click and click-through rate on some of these. But when we talk to Google again on analytics, you can set it up to where it talks to your Google Ads. And so it's really simple, and I can walk anybody through that, so that when you look in here, you can see, well, this became a conversion. This was a chat conversion, and that person Googled truck accident lawyer, or that person Googled truck accident lawyer Dallas. So Travis, I don't know if you have any comments on the importance of getting down to this level, but
yes, I do. In fact, I mean, this is a common challenge for, I think, every company. Yours, the marketing agency, intake companies. This data is so critical, and it's so cool that you guys do this and you're going over this and showing the screen, because it is easy to do, and very few, I would say less than 20% of firms that we work with anyway, actually, set this up. So this data is absolutely critical. So having a partnership with someone like John who can give us this type of information is vital to the success of our marketing efforts, because a lot of times, attorneys, they tend to, kind of jump from one provider to another. But if they take the time and set up services like yours and, fully get the data that you could pull from, the campaigns, especially Google Analytics and AdWords, it will drastically improve their conversion rates. Because a lot of times, let's take an example, they may be bidding on Dallas truck accident lawyer, and they may be getting a ton of chats for that, right? I mean, they may be getting a whole lot of chats for that, but maybe none of them converted. And right. Correct me if I'm wrong, we could drill down to specifically who the prospect was, right? Who clicked on that particular key phrase.
Right. Yeah, you can definitely, it's basically a cookie that travels with them. So If you're using live chat and you don't have this hooked up, but you're spending money on AdWords, you might be getting chat conversions, but it's not showing in your campaigns. And so you might not see, oh, well, that campaign's actually doing really, really well. I thought it was doing poorly, but I missed, 3 conversions in the data. And so just making sure it all ties together. But, we use this on our own Google Ads for our business. And we actually designed a very highly technical setup with smiley faces and frowny faces, and we click on those, and basically
That's
look at it
awesome.
on a weekly, a monthly, and a quarterly basis, and we say, you know what, I liked this keyword, let's bid this up and make sure we do it. But it's something we put in place internally that we've been kicking around the idea of maybe putting that out to other people, but.
Yeah, and there's a similar lead scoring technologies through like CallRail and such, but that's
Mhm.
awesome. And attorneys really need to take pay attention to this particular aspect, because I can't tell you how many times people thought, well, just like you said, campaigns were doing poorly or even doing well, for that matter, and they were just dead wrong. And the data can be very misleading. That's the problem. You may be getting a lot of inquiries for a particular key phrase, but no conversions. And so having this data is absolutely critical. And then, actually following through with the, hey, who hired me? And then going through and assigning those people back to, your system and saying, hey, who, where did these hires come from? What key phrase drove these conversions? Just, probably the best time you can spend on any one particular marketing effort is just that right there.
For sure. Yeah, it's been a difficulty because once we deliver the chat lead, a lot of times if it's done from our perspective, and we don't get a lot of feedback on whether they became a client or not. So that's really important.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time on our end trying to work with our clients to identify exactly who did hire them, because that really it proves the value of your service, my service, everybody else's service, but it just gives them insight into what's working and what's not. And there's so much, I think, speculation out there that what people should search for. Attorneys are notorious for going online and doing random searches, right? Well, what they think people are searching that are actually hiring them and what they're actually searching are usually 2 different things.
Right.
So it's usually a good eye-opening exercise for law firms.
Cool. And kind of the wrap up on what we see as a future of live chat, and I would say very in the short term, near term, and some of the things we're working on as far as lead routing, screening capabilities. I mentioned this earlier, but and this is kind of a combo. I know Travis, you talked about AI, but this is a combination of some human capabilities as well as utilizing technology, but gaining that expertise for us within chat to be able to screen and qualify potential cases. And this is going to be probably on a case-by-case basis. Some firms may not want anybody other than themselves doing this. Some people might say, you know what, I get a lot of leads through my website that need to be screened ahead of time, and there's some specific criteria that can be utilized. So that's part of it. I think that's going to be, whereas in the past it used to just be what's your phone number, what's your email, pass it along. There's just a lot more need for value add from services like ours in that area.
Yeah, and I mean, how are you guys thinking it the future that you'll actually be able to take, a case, possibly through, like I know that, there's some companies out there doing full retaining intake. Are you guys looking down that path possibly, or you guys have, what's the future hold for you guys?
I don't think we've got visions of us taking on all the way down to retention or retaining. I did mention it down here towards the end as far as reducing the sales cycle. So that may be possible in some case area or practice areas and case types that are very black and white. But I think what we're looking at is how can we utilize AI in things like Amazon Lex and those types of technologies to make our operators and our team better, provide them with responses that it's not coming from a bot, but it's giving our team more information. If it's a specific location, geographic location, things like that, I mean, we work with firms throughout the U.S., so that different states have different, statutes and things along those lines. So it's really difficult for us to build that in on a case by case or client by client basis. But I do think it'll get to that point. We're working on how can we reduce that sales cycle, and how can we make it to where what we deliver to a customer or to our client is as close to a qualified lead as possible, and based on the criteria they've given us. So it's going to be a lot of work, and a lot more interaction with customers, but I think it's just necessary to keep adding value.
Yeah, I agree. And again, attorneys are who are not taking advantage of chat, I think, may tend to get ahead of themselves in what they think that they're should be using from a technology perspective. But just getting chat on your website and having someone responding to people who have questions who aren't open to calling you, if you're still of the mindset that everyone's got to pick up the phone and call you because you're an attorney and you're that important, then you need to really rethink the way your prospects are communicating today. It just is, it's changed, and it's really more of a prospect market than it is a provider market. And there's so many different ways for people to communicate today, and the preferred method is not to pick up the phone and call. So chat is a very, very viable lead generation source, should be taken very seriously, and something that I honestly recommend for people anyone who has a website, anyone. Even if you don't have a website and you have a GMB profile and you have Facebook and that's what you do, you should still have chat.
Yeah, we do text to chat for some people. They don't want it on their site, but they want people to be able to text them. And it's, again, the texting I'm talking about is lead conversion, new potential clients, not necessarily updates on cases and things like that. But that is some technology we are working on as far as a service goes. But I know there's a lot of case management software out there that provides that. Just giving people the ability to text and have that conversation with existing clients themselves.
I know you guys have a new portion of your business too that you kind of you showed me somewhat privately at a conference not too long ago. That was some review generation software. Where are you with that new technology?
Yeah, so it's what we've done with live chat and reviews. They're different in the sense of different parts of the environment, the sales cycle, if you will. So the live chat's coming on the front end, and the reviews is on the back end. But what we found is the value we provide on live chat is the fact that we provide the availability, we provide the operators, we do it for them so that they can be attorneys and focus on that and growing their business, and not having to staff people. And so we looked at the reviews app, and there's a lot of apps out there that help you send an email and have people click on a link. But what we've added is the ability for our team to use our own app that we've designed and developed to send text message requests and email requests. And so what our customers are doing is they're just sending us a list through email or importing it through our portal, and up to 20 contacts in a month. And it's just a name, an email, and a phone number. And then our team takes that and we send requests for Google reviews, Facebook reviews, Avvo reviews, Yelp reviews. Typically, I prefer to focus on Google. It's just a little bit, it's more important from a lot of standpoints, but we've had some firms able to get 4, 5, 6 reviews in a month from us sending up to 3 requests. And we do it professionally, and we send one day, and the next maybe 2 or 3 days later another one, and then a final follow-up, and we leave it at that. We don't continue to bother people. But what we looked at is a lot of firms may send an email at one time, and then they don't follow up with somebody. And we found that on the second and third follow-up is when people leave a review. So that's available now, and it's probably a whole nother webinar in itself on the importance of reviews, but also be happy to talk to folks about that.
Yeah, I'd love to host you again on another webinar and talk about that. Reviews are so important. I mean, probably one of the most important things that people could focus on.
Yeah, I forgot I put a slide in here on that. I can go back to the other ones and finish that up. But we initially designed it as a SaaS, like a do-it-yourself app, and then over time we forgot that we were, our client base is mainly law firms and very, very busy individuals, and so it was I don't know if naive is the right word, but we didn't see as many folks gravitating to this, and really we want to continue to be able to support firms and professionals and do that for them so that they don't have to get in and do this stuff themselves. But sending a request for review on behalf of the business, and it links automatically to Google. So when you can see here, you can see people when they open the email, when they click the email. So we know when people are interacting and following up. So try to take that off of our customers' hands and do that for them. So their live chat and reviews are a little bit different, but trying to keep the same service mindset in what we do.
That's cool. Looks like you guys have some cool things going on. And I know we have just a few minutes left here. So actually we got about 10 minutes left. So I want to give people the opportunity and remind them, if you have questions, please enter them in, or put them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Cool. I can keep rolling through some of these last.
Going. It's all you.
All right. Next, feature of live chat. Everybody knows chatbots. They're coming, right? So we're utilizing some technology ourselves on how we can increase the capabilities of our operators and our team and make sure they're more effective. So we are using AI, some machine learning in that regard internally. But from what we've seen in the market, and I know it's coming and coming soon, but the capability of a robot or a bot to show empathy and still gather that information in this industry. We had someone reach out a couple of days ago in a chat. The very first message they said was that their husband was walking across the street, was killed on impact by a truck. And I have yet to see a bot or anything out there that can handle that like a human could. And so it's coming eventually, but just want to throw that out there. We haven't quite seen it yet. I do think reduction in the sales cycle, so getting those potential clients screened as much as possible, and getting to that point where maybe if they reach a certain level of criteria or meet criteria, that we are sending a contract on behalf of the law firm. So that is definitely a possibility, as long as it's extremely black and white and we're doing right by the law firm. Adoption of new messaging apps. It's just like WhatsApp, WeChat, things along those lines as people adopt different ways of interacting and communicating with one another, with businesses like Google My Business. I couldn't have told you 5 years ago that we'd be integrating with Google My Business. We'll keep an eye on those, and then the continued pressure to make our code lean and small and reduce the intrusiveness and basically Google sets those guidelines, if you will. So any algorithm changes along those lines, those are always fun to see come down the pike and see how we can react. But that's what makes software development so fun.
Yeah, I think you guys are onto something. I mean, I think the AI piece has got a long way to go. I mean, there's some AI out there that is really cool, but you're right. I mean, there's so many different types of scenarios that are just, really challenging, even for some humans to respond to. So it is, AI's got a lot ways to go. So if, for those of you who think that AI can replace, human technology completely, it's inaccurate. So, but it's getting there, but it's going to take a long time to build that out. It's just, there's a lot of, unknowns that go into every conversation.
For sure. And I think our focus on continuing to provide that human element and human interaction along with the capabilities of AI is what we're really focused on to make sure we're adding more value every day.
Yeah, I agree. Well, John, I know you guys have an offer for those folks who checked out the webinar, so please let us know what that is, and we do appreciate it. It's always helpful for our folks to save a little bit of money and get a
Sure.
great service at the same time. So what are you guys offering?
So we typically have a setup fee of $200, and that's an initial setup that we're waiving. So if you let me know you found out about us through the AEA or this webinar, we'll be happy to waive that. Typically, that's for us to set up the script, the design, all that information ahead of time. So $200 value.
Yeah, and for those of you who think it's just spreading a little bit of fairy dust over the computer and then magically it happens, it could be further from the truth. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into setting this stuff up correctly and setting up the UTM campaigns and getting Google Analytics set up correctly and all the integrations. It takes a lot of time, and that time is very expensive for companies like John. So, they're probably undercharging for their setup fee, quite honestly. So it's a great value, and take advantage of it. It's kind of anybody to offer this type of discount, but thank you, we appreciate it.
Sure. And if anybody's interested in talking with me more about our review service as well, that's both of these services. They're both month to month, so we don't do long-term contracts. I always, again, I mentioned and alluded to it earlier. I always want to make sure we're adding value, and that's why we don't do long-term contracts with this service. But I'm happy to talk with anybody about either service and look forward to it.
And do you guys do side-by-side comparisons? If someone has a current chat company, do you guys run? Have you guys done anything like that before, where you run almost like an A/B test?
We have. There is some things that need to be done on their side from a code standpoint to kind of hide ours and show theirs, and hide theirs and show ours. But we've done that in the past, definitely.
Okay, so for those of you who are have that fear of change, there's the options out there for you. Again, if you're getting a high number of chats, large volume of chats, and you're paying a pretty lofty price for each one of those qualified leads, it's definitely something to consider, because John's service is top notch. Their software is top notch, and it's continuing to improve. So just keep that in mind. I don't want to get salesy, but it's just, I think there's always opportunity for people to improve, and I think anybody who fears change is probably going to be left behind. So, change or die, right? Isn't that what?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget. John. I forget his name. God, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here. Anyway, but yeah. So again, give him a shot. Hopefully, you guys can reach out to John and follow up. John, you have anything to wrap up here? I don't have any questions from anybody. So that means you did a great job presenting. So I appreciate that.
Perfect. No, I think we're good. I appreciate the time, and thanks for having me.
Yep, and we'll have to get a date on the calendar for us to chat about reviews in your software. I am a big believer in reviews, think that it is the most important aspect of digital marketing today, and I can't understate that. And really want to take some time and get that out there to the folks as well. So hopefully we can get some on the calendar and get you back on soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Now, thank you, John. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right. Take care.